What's up, everybody? This is Talkative Carl back again for another Mother's Day theme month movie spoiler review. We're nearly wrapping up the month for Mother's Day movie reviews, and this one is very early '90s film, buddy cop film, starring Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty, and who you might have seen in the TV show The Golden Girls, one of the most iconic TV shows in American history. Uh, I remember watching this as a kid. It was on VHS because growing up in the '90s, we had tons of VHS, and I watched a heck of a lot of movies. Most notably, ones that's just been like stacking up from like tons of VHS from stuff from like the 80s and early 90s. And I've seen this because like I watched a fair amount of Sylvester Stallone films growing up. Obviously Rocky. I watched a hell of a lot of Rocky. Demolition Man, which I really want to do a video on. There's like a bunch of Stallone stuff like I watched, but like I found this little hidden gem, or gem in quotations, and I remember watching it a lot, because I was a dumb kid, so I was like, oh, it was a cool action thing with a cool action star that I've watched tons of times. What's the harm? So I didn't understand the nuances as, how I hesitate to say it's crappy because it was of its time. I imagine people's feelings toward it'd be like the same way people's feelings towards like maybe Thor the Dark World of today, of that kind of feeling. And it's a crying shame. It's like, I rewatched it and there is some stuff that like I can point out that I thought it was an interesting thing, but they never really put more. I won't say didn't put more emphasis on it, but it's like they didn't like lean into it. But it's like they trying to mesh something that didn't mesh well. Even Stallone to this day considered this movie one of his worst films in his repertoire. But Stop Mama Will Shoot, stars Sylvester Stallone as Sergeant Joseph Andrew Joe Bomowski. Like, what a hell of a long ass name. And then his mother stars like Tootie Bomowski. Now, you see like like the right at the start, you get a feel of Joe's life. He's he's a sergeant of the LAPD. He pretty much one of like the most like just a good cop who happened to be involved with his boss, uh, Lieutenant Gwen Harper, played by JoBeth Williams. And now, not saying like people in like a work environment couldn't have like a, had like a legit relationship that sparked into something, but it's just like, man, from you seen the scenes, we watched this from the scenes that carry on. It's like, wow, that would not play today. It's amazing what like what people got away with back then. But of course, I'm not sure what kind of proper channels there are as far as like having like well, I get a sense. I mean, like I worked in places where I know two people who start a relationship and what have you after from working together. But it's just like it gets murky sometimes because if something doesn't work out, you're all working at the same place and you constantly seeing each other. there's one moment where she like literally kisses him in front of everybody, and then punches him the next second. We'll get to that, but right at the start, Joe, at the bar after like he busts some criminals trying to, he's trying to set up a sting operation, and it's only him and his partner. Don't know where his like the other backup is, but whatever. They, bust some people who one of them happened to be played by Ving Rhames. I forgot he's been active for such a long time. You forget. Because I think that the first time I saw Ving Rhames in any movie, my first recollection would, like, off the top of my head, is the first Mission Impossible movie. I think that was the first time I, like, in my head can picture, like, okay, what is the first Ving Rhames role that you've seen him in? Mission Impossible is the only thing that pops in my mind. Everything else feels like an after Mission Impossible, sighting. So it's like, wow, he's been in the game. It's probably one of his earliest roles. Is this side stuff before he became like a big, character actor. Because like almost anything is pretty much, great if you add in Ving Rhames. Very versatile actor. But Joe, like at the bar after like his partner got shot in the ass, like Forrest Gump and Forrest Gump, and he's like calling up a woman we know is to be his mother. She doesn't pick up the phone, and he's just getting increasingly frustrated. He's calling her, multiple times that night, and then the next morning. And then once he's coming into work, he's getting grilled by his lieutenant, who's like, well, it's hard to say. Like, I don't want to say that she's acting like like a stereotypical kind of like a woman who's like, getting all, on his case, so to speak, about like, their relationship and what have you. But what she's saying, if you listen, it's, legit concerns, even though they should be having this conversation privately, even though it's in her office, but it's not really privately when you're screaming at each other and it's like there's only a thin piece of glass where everybody can view what's going on inside, and it's like you could have like went outside, you could have gone to the whole building is full of cops, and it's like hard pressed to find like a private spot, but at least go outside where you can, or at least go in his car and just have like this kind of private conversation, so that way, not everybody's in your doggone business. But apparently, she has issues with Joe. It's like his lack of opening up. This is like a action. This is in the era of the action tough guy things. It was like Stallone and Schwarzenegger, who people initially wanted to be in this role, but he kind of like blew it off so they went to Stallone with this. But it's and like it's just like that era of like 80s action tough guy things, all full of testosterone and like rarely showing your feelings. And that's where like she gets like the issue with him. It's like I need to know like how you feeling. Like I need to do. It's like legit concerns if like she actually have legit feelings for this guy, but he's like keeping her at arm's length. You'll know why, when you get into the meat of the movie. But then she asked him like, why didn't you call me? but then he's telling her like, I was calling my mom. And of course, she doesn't believe it because it does sound like a lie. Because like, probably can tell. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of women out there who's probably heard the mom story thousands of times. So of course it's been that line's been said for longer than I've been born, and it was played out even before I would even existed. I imagine, but uh because obviously she wants something more from him, and he just not, you know, want to take that leap. Uh, he's very set in his ways kind of guy. He, then he goes to the airport to go pick up his mother, who right away, I mean, like, there's some moments where you get a chuckle out of this. And back then, I don't imagine anybody who's, or I don't even know if you watch this. If you watch this for the first time, you might get a chuckle or two. But, I'm pretty sure when this movie came out, not that many people were laughing at it, but right away, he's at the airport and like a bunch of people, leaving the plane, are just snickering and giggling, pointing fingers right at Joe, and he's like, "What?" And then like you see all these airline flight attendants who are just like, giggling. It's like that little thing. And like, "Hi, Joe." It's like, and then you see this little old lady sitting there like talking to the pilot, about like, Joe, and showing all these little baby pictures and stuff like that. Completely embarrassing him. And then, you hear like, because this is something that really jumped out to me because it literally happened when me and my brother took our mother out for Mother's Day for lunch. And, Tootie is telling like one of the flight attendants, like, "He's single, girls. Don't forget, he's single." And it's like, my mother literally just came across this woman who obviously is probably like a very sweet person, because she was, took the time to help, take, pictures of us in front of the restaurant because my mother really wanted pictures and stuff like that. But then she's gonna go off and tell this woman like, he's single, and it's like, no shade on the woman. I didn't find her attractive like that, so it's like, it's just completely embarrassing. And it's like, you don't know this woman. I don't need you to set up. We don't need you to set up us, because she's like one grandkids and stuff like that. And it's like, it is embarrassing. Moms tend to get like that, and it's like, I know it's, we all know it's our love, but at a certain point, you do get what Joe's coming from in this moment, where it's like, this constant embarrassment, and not the mother, just like the things she does is completely embarrassing. And then she's supposed to be staying like for the weekend, and she explains to him that like, I know you. I didn't answer your phone calls. I know he's gonna make an excuse just to keep me from flying all the way out there, because she lives in Jersey and he lives all in L.A. He moved very far away just to be away from her. Not in like a mean-spirited way, but just, he wanted some space, some great distance of a space, representing how much she can be as a mother. So on the way to Joe's place, Joe stopped when there was a teenager who's like threatening to jump off a building, and like as Joe's running up there trying to like talk this guy down, even though they have, I'm assuming they have not hostage negotiators, but just negotiators already at the ready, but he jumps into the fray. And then as soon as he gets up there, his mother for some reason they hand this woman a megaphone, and she's starting to like console this kid who apparently had like issues with his mom, and she's like, you know, going off on this like stories, and it's showing people just to calm the kid down, showing about like, you know, like talking about, you know, Joe as a kid, and like uh and showing off these little baby pictures and stuff like that, and like the crowd's just like zeroing in on the pictures, and Joe's just freaking out on the ledge, freaking out, and the kid is like literally like, "Oh, I ain't have it as bad as you," you know. And he walks out. he walks back into the building. So I mean, there's like a few laughs out of this. I mean, like it's not like grandiose laughs, but I get a chuckle or two when you see these his mom literally doing something that's like completely embarrassing, and like, you know, Stallone's, you know, despite how Stallone feels about this movie, he still, you know, give his 110% because he's like acting out the embarrassment pretty well, making the moments even funnier. He finally gets her to his place, and right away, typical mom thing, she hey Nick, typical mom thing where she's automatically, or I should say immediately, critiquing his living conditions, where it's like, you know, it's like it's dusty, and she found a whole bunch of stuff jammed into the closet and stuff like that, and then uh so she's, you know, she spent the whole night cleaning the house, vacuuming, like, you know, in the middle of the night, and she ends up cleaning his gun, who she, you know, where she commented earlier how filthy it is. So she doesn't clean it with the proper cleaning tools that a gun needs. She uses, you know, Clorox and bleach and, you know, all this stuff, and it looks clean, but it's completely unusable. And then she's just like, I try to do something nice and you're so ungrateful, blah, blah, blah. It's like, and then she makes him this large, you know, breakfast. It's like almost every kind of breakfast imaginable. Like, cereal, pancakes, eggs, bacon. It's just got a bunch of stuff that any one of these things by themselves could suffice, but she want to make sure like the breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So you literally have to, had his partner pick him up some Pepto Bismol because he's like eating more than he wanted to because he wasn't really hungry. So Tootie, out of sheer remorsefulness of what she did, to his gun, she went out to like a seedy-ish part of town to like a gun shop. Of course, there's like, waiting period and blah blah blah. Then some shady fat guy overhears her. He sells her a Mac 10 behind his van. So she ends up buying it as a gift for her son. And like as soon as he turned the corner, the fat guy and his partner he didn't. The fat guy didn't get hit. His partner did, and he had to drive off to get away. Of course, Tootie witnessed the whole entire event, so she goes to the police station, who happens to be like the police station that her son works at for some reason. That's weird because like you figure in the LA area there at least could be 4 or 5 different police stations in that general vicinity, but she happens to be going to the one that her son is in. That is kind of like wild to me. But then like a bunch of cops are being regaled of stories of her son, and then she meets uh the lieutenant, what's her name, Gwen, and so of course, like, Joe is peeved, but since he's witnessed a murder, she has to stay longer than the weekend now. So Estelle is like kind of like want to make sure that her son gets this case. So the guy who's like, a rival sort of to Joe, he's assigned to the case, but she's not giving him the things that he needs to know. So she like, makes sure her son gets the information, because she wants to like partner up with him, and it's like, well, I don't see why she wants to spend more time with her son, but the fact that she had to understand boundaries in which her son eventually had to set, it's like, but it just, the things kind of escalate. But in the meantime, you get these little crooks who work for this business guy who is sending them off to try to find these guns that's supposed to have been destroyed in this fire, which he was collecting the insurance on. But the fat guy and his partner, stole a bunch of them to sell on the street. So they're racing, trying to find these guys. But all the while, Joe is like, after embarrassment after embarrassment after embarrassment, it's like he even had like a nightmare, literally, like his he's trying to stop a bank robbery, and his mom is in there, and she's like got this giant baby powder and a giant thing of diapers, and she's like, I'm here to change you, Joey. And he's freaking out, stop trying to change me, and he's waking up from a nightmare. So it's like, psychologically, you can understand, it's like, why he moved so far away. It's like his mom just didn't respect his boundaries, because he's still treating him like he's a small child that needs to be fed and taken care of, and all this other stuff. He later found out when Tootie is speaking to Gwen about, because Gwen's upset because the fact that Joe never expressed any feelings, he didn't buy her flowers, typical stuff when you expect from a person in a relationship. But Tootie explains this is how Joe always has been. He lost his father when he was 13. I was a wreck, so Joe handled the funeral arrangements. He handled like the where the body's gonna be buried. He make sure like the funeral people got paid, and so, and even make sure you send out the invitations to the funeral. Like Joe pretty much like had to grow up fast. And because of that, he had to be in the manor house. That means like, well, I'm not a psychologist, but it's like, it seems to me like, yeah, the man's like emotionally stunted a bit, because like he didn't have a chance to go through the natural progressions, from 13 to a full-grown adult, where you are allowed to like express certain feelings and in a healthy manner, and blase blase blase. No, all that is being like cut short, because now like he has to help his mom, and he has to be the father of the house, and so it leaves little room for any kind of emotional growth. Not like he's like a monster or anything like that, but just like he's not processing his emotions, as like the mother and Gwen expressed, like, we never seen Joe cry. so so that was say a lot, about like current state of Joe, but also uh on Joe's side of things, he gave his mom literal a list of rules while she is staying with him for the duration of this case. Uh, you know, this guidelines about like no, uh, because he is constantly tells her he likes his life. I like my life. I don't want to move up in the ranks. I'm good. Like things with Gwen are fine the way they are. I like my living conditions. It's fine the way it is. And he hands her, which of course it's not. He's like I said, he was stagnant. He's like he's set in his ways, and he's in his comfort zone. And as a man who loves his comfort zone too, I understand. But even every once in a while, I like to step out, do something different. You know, uh, you know, if I feel like it's something that piques my fancy, like if I feel like I want to go downtown because I haven't been in such a long while, if I have that, moment, or if something special happened, like the Taste of Chicago, I will definitely go out and go to the Taste of Chicago, enjoy the city, getting some fresh air, enjoy some food and the music, or even around the holidays, I like going downtown at least once just to see like the window displays with all the puppetry, Christmas puppetry and everything like that, and like Halloween, like I at least around that time, like I go out, for like Halloween parties and stuff like that. I guess the bulk of my time, like get out the house, is like during the, the fall winter season when like stuff really pops off, in my opinion. Summertime stuff, there's a couple of things, but more often than not, it's just like the Taste of Chicago. In a couple of weeks, there's be another Pokemon Go. I still have the app. I rarely play it. The last time I think I played it was like around last year in C2E2 when I was out, because that's another thing I do every year. Go to the C2E2 in McCormick Place in Chicago, and like enjoy like buying like posters, taking pictures, and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's fun to get out of the house or do some different stuff. I even went try out this like new bar restaurant downtown that I'd never been. It was around Halloween, and I didn't feel comfortable going to. Usually I go on this kind of Halloween blues cruise, but I still last year did not feel comfortable enough to be in enclosed space that because of course it was the Omicron stuff that was still happening, and the mask mandates definitely was not lifted yet. So it's like being in enclosed space, not that keen just yet, especially with no way out. But this year, mask mandate off, all this other 6 feet apart, none of that crap if you don't want to. It's all completely optional at this point. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year, Halloween. Go on that blues cruise, have a ball, drinking, and, just, living up the nightlife, So I'm looking forward to that. So Joe needs that. He's like, he needs to be able to like express himself and, get out of his comfort zone a little bit. But his mom needs to really needs to understand like certain boundaries. Especially she's not dealing with her child. Her child is not a child anymore. He's a full-grown adult that needs his boundaries respected. And parents have like a nasty habit of doing that with their kids. As they get older. Sometimes they don't because. Well, not even just when they're older. It's like when they're not like a toddler or, as well. I wish I kind of grew up this way. I mean, like My father was like, very laid back. And of course, like, he's still like a parent and everything like that. He had rules in the house and blah blah blah. But by and large, he's pretty chill and laid back, because like, you know, he wasn't like one of those parents that restrict you on certain things that you watch or anything like that. And like, he didn't make me have to go outside if I don't feel like, going outside. He wasn't like going to harp on it, kind of thing. But uh, it's just like certain parents. It seems like, they, you know, they only see their kids as kids that need to be micromanaged, or like, pulled in every direction by their will instead of the will of their own. Because their children have agency. They're still people, and that have wants and feelings that need to be respected. And the mom, as good-hearted as she is and well-meaning as she is, she understands that she can't be showing every living person naked baby photos of this man. Nobody needs to know, about everything he's, about his like childhood. Uh, she definitely, doesn't need to be cleaning at the, very late at night. At the very least, she should do it like during the day when he's not home and she can straighten up. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But fixing like a meal for 10, she needs to scale that back some, or at least respect the fact that if he says he's not hungry, don't bug him about it. It's just like, he goes over like a few more lists, but also on the list is basically like, don't interfere with my love life. And I understand, like, no parents should interfere with their kids' love life unless, something is a danger to them. Or are they going to get like hurt physically, or, just, something that's like not going to, if it's not going to hurt their kid in any way, it's not, your business. But she is like respectfully on to him, but it's like she is just want to make sure that, he care, because this woman obviously cares for him, and he needs to get his mind right and acknowledge that and express himself and show this woman that he how he truly feels, and don't be ashamed of it. Because I guess like it has something to do with like losing a father at such a young age, and I guess like that kind of turned him off on anything serious, especially being a cop. And it's like he could die in any one of these things. I really put in more, stuff in the gaps here, because they really should have done all this work in the movie, which kind of shows like how, like, I won't say half-assed, but it's like didn't put that much thought into it. Granted, it was in the 90s, 80s and 90s, and action movies didn't really need to have that much thought into it. But even by action movie standards, it was kind of subpar. But yeah, losing his father, it's like, hey, I could die any moment in this job. I'm not going to try to get too attached, so that way you won't feel, that heartbroken. And I imagine that's the, case in his head, but you should express something like that. He goes late into work to, drink. In the office, he bumps into Gwen. They assumingly had sex, on his desk late at night. I'm surprised there's no cleaning crew, walking by as, they do whatever. But then eventually they find out about they solve the case and find out about like this business guy who was collecting the insurance, and faking the fire. Tootie gets kidnapped when she's trying to come in and help her son, but you get a cool moments with Stallone as always, but you get a nice little moment where his mom literally saves the day and shoots the guy in the shoulder from keeping him from shooting her son. And the movie ends with, like, Gwen getting like a wedding ring, uh, things progressing, and Joe's like evolving as a person. Uh, but yeah, that's what my mom was shooting. It's like, it's not like when, obviously not one of the best Stallone films at all, and it's like very low on the totem pole as far as like action movies is concerned, especially by '90s standards. Uh, it's harmless in my opinion, even though it's like, Cisco and Ebert consider it as like, 0 out of 4 kind of rating, and it's like, you know, they consider it a dumpster fire back in the day, but it's harmless. I mean, it's on Amazon Prime. You can take a look. It's a nice little throwback '90s film. You might get a chuckle or two here and there, but yeah, it's like I said, it's not a great film, but it's harmless. All right, and next week we'll be wrapping up Mother's Day month with one final movie. I was going to cut to the chase and let you know what it is. I kind of like had the order kind of switch around, but I think it was like a happy accident because I didn't want to end May Mother's Day movie theme month with Stop When My Mama Shoot. But next week I will be reviewing Seth Rogen and Katherine Heigl's film Knocked Up. I haven't seen that in a while, and it's like I might mention it in the review, but I'll say it here because it's on my mind because I've been thinking about it today. Katherine Heigl, she obviously been having like, some there's like a fair amount of people who had issues with her on sets of different films she's involved in. I don't want to say high maintenance, but it's just like one of those difficult, very Jared Leto-ish kind of like pompous. I want to say pompous, but you get the feel of what I'm trying to get at here, where she's like kind of uppity about her stuff, I guess. I mean, I don't know the woman personally, but from what I've heard from other people who worked with her, she's very difficult, and not in like misogynistic difficult. I mean, like, difficult by human standards. But yeah, she was like all over the place, just like with Eva Mendes too. It's like there's certain people that was like everywhere during the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s, and it's so weird how like you barely see her like that. I'm pretty sure she still works, but it's like she has been in like a headliner of like a big movie in a while. But yeah, look forward to that next week, and I will see you guys soon.